Welcome to the Grandstand Golf Podcast. This is the weekend golf update for the 2021 Charles Schwab Challenge. I am your host, Adam Bapty, and as always, I'm joined by my brothers, Craig.
Hey, how we doing?
And Kevin.
How's it going, everyone?
Okay, guys, we're back in Texas for another tournament. Craig, do you want to give a quick recap here of the week?
Yeah, it's going to be a quick one. I mean, essentially, this looked like it was going to be the Jordan Spieth show through 3 days. You know, 63, 66, 66. It looked like he was not even really slowing down to let anyone else in this. And then he did slow down and let someone else in this. Jason Kokrak, you know, by the end of Saturday, it was pretty much a 2-horse race.
Right.
And both of them were trying really hard to let the other guy win today. And, you know, making bunches of bogeys on the front. And Kokrak made a few more birdies to work his way back to even on the final round. Mm-hmm. And ultimately won by 2 as Jordan Spieth limped in with a 3 over 73 in his final round. So Jason Kokrak, Mr. Las Vegas, takes home his second win of the year after getting his first PGA Tour win earlier this year.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was always a 2-person. We talked about it in our round 4 showdown show. It was kind of a 2-man race going into the final day. So I don't know for you guys. Like, I feel like, let's just say since the COVID restart, we have been spoiled with such great golf, with playoffs, with like tremendous, you know, major results. What was your just like lasting feeling of the weekend?
For me, it was a pretty mundane kind of feel to this tournament. You know, you guys said, it was a 2-horse race, so it lacked a little bit of excitement in that you know, there's only 2 guys that can potentially win it, and you feel how you feel about Spieth and Kokrak. You may or may not be fans. I really thought that Sergio Garcia was going to make a run at it today. That did not happen, leaving me disappointed.
One and done implications. That's
major one and done implications. Thought I was going to make up some ground. I, in fact, lost more ground. But, you know, I think we're going to talk about it, but the week after a major is always a tough one. And this, I think with the course and with the way this tournament kind of unfolded, it sort of didn't do itself any favors. I
think any week after a major is it's tough to get up for the next tournament. And when the major happened to be, you know, one of the greatest players of their generation winning as the oldest major winner ever on a spectacular golf course beside the ocean. Like, there was a lot of really good things about last week, and it's hard to get as excited for the next week.
Well, plus Kokrak already won this season, as you said. Spieth, like, if it was Kokrak chasing his first win, that would be a little bit of excitement, some drama down the stretch. Spieth, you know, if Spieth didn't have his last couple months of his rebound, and this was kind of like kickstarting the new Jordan Spieth, and he didn't have that win, that would also be exciting. It's like, okay, 2 guys already have a win this season.
I think especially if he didn't have that win. You know, like, even if he had all these top 5s and everything, but didn't quite have that breakthrough win, then there would have been the eyeballs on it.
Yeah, I completely agree. So to me, and I mean, yeah, it's kind of in and out. It's a beautiful day here. It seemed like it was kind of inevitable what was going to happen. Tune in early, tune in late, and kind of, I feel like I got the gist of it. Like, that's kind of how I feel with the day, with the tournament.
Yeah.
The one thing that really stands out. So, like, if I were to say what was my one takeaway from, and this is more, I guess, just from Sunday, but having crowds back on the golf course, and when you have a hometown heavy favorite like that, it was difficult. Kokrak was facing additional difficult things to get that win today. Having, you know, like, people were straight up cheering when he missed shots, when he hit bad shots. That rattles you. Or, I mean, it didn't rattle him, but, like, that is something that if you're not mentally strong and have a good mental game, then that is going to rattle you.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah. And he did kind of overcome that today, and he wasn't shy to admit it afterwards in his post round stuff, saying, you know, they were cheering for him. He doesn't blame them for that. That's, you know, hometown event. That's what you do. So,
so it's kind of a bizarre year. I mean, we got Bryson, 2-time winner, sure. Stuart Sink, 2-time winner. Don't think
surprising.
A little bit surprising. Jason Kokrak, 2-time winner. Yeah, that's also kind of surprising. And at the end of the year, Phil Mickelson winning the PGA Championship at 50, surprising. We got a Ryder Cup 2021 Whistling Straits. Now, Sink is he part of Phil? Jason Kokrak? Like, how many of these guys are part of the conversation when we're like, but what about the Xanders, the Finals, the Webbs of the world? Like, what's going to happen with this US team?
That's a really good question. And I'm not exactly sure what the point standings are right now. But essentially, these guys, they can play their way in.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of hate what the U.S. did going to 6-6, where only 6 qualify, and then the captain gets to pick 6, because I think it does make it much harder for this type of, a Kokrak to play his way onto the team. Because if he's 7th or 8th or 9th, the chances of him being the captain's choice are a lot less than a Jordan Spieth who's 7th or 8th or 9th, So
I got the rankings here. Do you want to hear them where they are right now?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is updated because Kokrak moved up a bunch, but we got in the top 6, DJ, Bryson, JT, Brooks, Colin Morikawa, and Xander. So that's your top 6 right there. 7 through 12, we got Patrick Reed, Tony Finau, Jordan Spieth, moved up 2 spots, Daniel Berger, Webb Simpson, Billy Horschel, Jason Kokrak is at 13.
Yeah, and now I think the one thing also, if you do go, the RyderCup.com website has all of the points totals there. Essentially, the points now, and any points earned now, they're earning at a higher rate in the 2021 season than they were in previous years. So it's easier for people to move up with essentially their recent play coming as we get closer to the tournament. But yeah, so I mean, essentially for him to automatically qualify and not be a captain's choice, he has to get it up to the top 6 there, which you're going to have to do a lot of work.
So, I mean, some notables, Patrick Cantlay's 14, Bill's 17, your boy, Craig, Will Zalatoris is 19, Kevin, your boy, Max Homa is 20th. A lot of big names.
Yeah. I think I think it's pretty tough. If you're sitting between like 6 to 10, let's say, it's something to overlook somebody who's sitting there, as not taking them as a captain's pick. You have to respect that they were close. They've had a good season. They're playing well, likely at the time. I think with those last 2, it can be a little bit more sort of wild card type picks. But I'd like to think that the guys, 6th through, or I guess 7 through 9, anyways, 7 through 10 have to be pretty safe if they can climb into that spot.
I think the one potentially concerning thing is if it's someone who had earned a lot of points and has just like been falling and cascading down the board, then it's like, man, like, do we want to take a shot on this Dustin Johnson who hasn't, maybe that's a different story, but whether say Xander, if Xander really, falls off further from where he is right now and just continues to plummet, are you going to take that shot that I think he's going to show up and have game?
And the other thing, too, is it's going to be completely overanalyzed for, however many matches these guys get. Whoever is those last couple ones in, their performance is going to be overanalyzed. And, as Craig, and I'm going to give this one to Craig a little bit because picking showdown picks in DFS is like, yeah, we have, some kind of things to go on. But it's also 18 holes of golf that can be completely random if the person's, in a bad mood, had a bad range session, had a bad sleep. So you pick Billy Horschel, match play, he played really well instead of Phil Mickelson, and then he goes 0-2 or whatever. Well, why'd you pick Billy Horschel? Completely overanalyzed.
Yeah, absolutely, it will be overanalyzed. I mean, I would say that always is the case with the captain's picks. That's probably the most, aside from kind of just setting the general tone, and I guess the matchups, slot him in. But that's the most significant thing the captain does. But I just think it's funny because the conversation seems to come up after every win. Like I remember after Kevin Na won in the Sony Open in Hawaii, there was a lot of chatter about oh yeah, he's no brainer, going to be one of those guys that you want to have on the Ryder Cup team. And it's well, you're leaving anyone you like that in that fringe range that you're oh, he's going to overachieve if you give him a chance to get out there. You're leaving off a pretty good name. So I think that we're going to have to get through a few majors here. Those are extra points in those ones. So there's still a lot to shake out.
It's like people are searching for like their Ian Poulter almost, right? Like who's our Ian Poulter that will like just like always overachieve kind of deal.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I got a question for you. We're kind of talking, tournament, hosting a tournament after a major. So we're given the Grandstand Golf Invitational. PGA is like, okay, we have 2 spots in the calendar. Let's say it's going to be in Canada, and we're either, let's call it the PGA. You can have the week before the PGA or the week after the PGA. Where do you want the tournament slotted and why?
Before the PGA. Because after, like we said, it's hard to get up for it. Before, people are kind of like excited for it, Some guys are trying to, we talked about before the PGA, do you play the week before a major, or do you rest or go to the course, get extra reps in there? Well, I think a lot of guys end up playing because they want to go in there with momentum. So you get more of the top players, and I think you also get, all that little bit of a buzz is already going.
Yeah, there's more eyeballs on the world of golf. Everyone, as a golf fan, you kind of want to see what form people are in. So you're going to pay much closer attention. Whereas right after the major, it's like, okay, like I can exhale
Get
until
smacked in the mic.
Yeah, that's how I feel after the major's over. Just knock that thing out of here. No, but I agree with Kevin. I think you also end up with a situation like, I'm very surprised Phil didn't this week, but oftentimes some of your biggest draws, if they win or do well, they'll withdraw. Like Louis Oosthuizen this week withdrew, and I understand it, but it definitely would be something to consider.
I forget, the Canadian Open was next to the Open, which wasn't good for travel. I mean, going across the ocean, all that. Was it right after the Open for a while, or right before the Open Championship?
I think it's moved around a little bit.
It has been right before, the week before, and that hurt it. But
especially for the RBC guys that have to.
I think if you want the Canadian Open to do well, I think the best is if it's 2 weeks before. So then you'd get people going there and then traveling from, and assuming it's in Eastern Canada, traveling from there right to whether they want to go play in the Scottish Open or whichever event it is right before the Open Championship, or just go and get familiar with some links golf.
Yeah, Eastern Canada, that's a whole nother topic. It's been out there for a while. I don't know, some West Coast guys.
2011, something like that? 2010?
There's some pretty nice courses out this way.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Okay, guys. I mean, we kind of are cruising through Charles Schwab. I mean, we've already kind of cruised by it. Let's go back for a second. Anybody on the leaderboard you want to talk about a little bit? I got one question here about JT slumping. Average finish of 36 since his Players Championship win. Kind of a few disappointing performances this week.
Yeah, well, he wasn't playing great leading into the Players either. That kind of came out of nowhere. Like, what was he? Made the cut by 1 or on the number, I think, at the Players before he went off for a couple rounds on the weekend.
I just remember I picked him in our Picks DFS show, but that's all.
He did have a couple of missed cuts before the Players. Missed cut at the Genesis, missed cut in Europe, in the Middle East at a tournament that he should have cakewalked to a top 5 finish there. It seems like. I would say that JT is in a bit of a slump. If you look at what he's done so far, just in the 2021, essentially since the Tournament of Champions, when he dropped a vulgar language on a hot mic. Aside from the Players, he really hasn't been relevant. He has a 13th at the Valspar. That was the tournament, I believe, where he was number 1 tee to green by a fairly good margin and just couldn't putt. But we've seen missed cuts, we've seen 40th finishes. It's not what you expect when JT tees it up.
Yeah,
no.
I completely agree.
And I mean, Craig, like, slagging him like he is right now probably means he's going to win Memorial next week too, eh?
Well, early potential actually has my pick, so.
Oh, one and done? You got him in?
No, I just mean like a DFS pick. I think that when top players like him start to slump and everyone starts to look the other way, then I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, that was like my Players thing. Yeah, or Cantlay the PGA. Got a zig when other people zag. I like it.
Now, just taking it back to the top of the leaderboard for one sec. Spieth today. Do you think he kind of got the most out of a bad round, or like essentially continuing to be in contention until right at the end when he kind of essentially went at the pin and got a little aggressive and pulled it a bit and went in the water. I mean, clearly he didn't have a good warm up. He didn't have his best stuff.
Yeah.
Them's the breaks, or do you think he did a good job trying to still compete without his best, with his B game?
I mean, somebody like Jordan Spieth, I think that absolutely this is a disappointment. You going into the final round with a one-shot lead, with the kind of golf he's been playing, constantly up at the top of the leaderboard, like for sure this is a disappointment for him. You kind of, I think most people probably had the odds of Spieth winning at least 75-25, if
He was
not
at
more.
minus 250 before round 4.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but even like at 36 holes, he was like,
Yeah.
you were to lay odds on him.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Kevin. I was just going to say, like, it's going to hurt for 24 hours. This is also, I mean, we saw through 4 rounds. It's a hard golf course. I think it was over par 2 of the 4 days, like scoring average. If you hit the rough, then it's really hard to get it close. So I think like for 24 hours, and I think Craig, you were kind of alluding to early in the round, Dottie said his warm-up was like off, like it's really technical, like he's trying to find something almost in his warm-up. So clearly just a bad day. When he comes back here next year, it'll be like, oh yeah, like I was a solo second, like that already builds on my impressive.
He has
Colonial
nothing but
record.
good feelings at this course. I just mean more like as a fan, do you give him a attaboy for going out there, and even when you clearly were not hitting the ball as well as you can, you still manage to give it a shot? Or are you like, man, like, well, you kind of choked there with a 73 on the last day?
I mean,
I lean towards the latter, but maybe
I
I'm
lean
harsh.
towards the former because, like, in the fairway on the approach on 18, it's still a one-stroke swing. He just happened to kind of get too much of it and went in the water, and it looks worse than it was, but it still could have been his on 18.
Yeah. So I'm tempted. I kind of lean towards what you're saying, Adam, but I think also we give Jordan Spieth a lot of maybe not us here, but a lot of there's tons of people who love Jordan Spieth because he's a very charismatic guy, and he even if he's struggling, he's putting on a show, and so there's a lot of people that are still loving the show he's putting on. But if that's Xander, if that's Finau, if that's Rory, if that's so many of these other top players, are just like, man, you just choked. Like you don't have the histrionics and the theatrics that Jordan Spieth has to go along with it. So instead of it just being like, oh, Spieth didn't have his best stuff, but man, he sure gave it his all. It's like, man, like you guys sucked today. Like, get better at golf for next time. How about?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, it's just kind of going back to the whole Ryder Cup thing. It's like we live in such a media overload, overstimulated world that we live so in such small time windows that everything is kind of probably overreacted to than it should be.
Oh, absolutely, especially in sports.
And especially in golf, where we read so much into, like, it's sort of like Jerry Seinfeld with like fastest man in the world. Nobody knows him. If you're just listening, not watching, Jerry Seinfeld has a bit where he's like talks about the 100 meters and essentially fastest guy in the world, and someone no one has ever heard of being a nose apart.
And that's what I mean. We're talking about a golf course with 18 holes where one guy took 70 strokes to get the low ball in the hole, and another guy took 73 strokes to get the low ball in the hole, and one's a choker and one like just steadied the ship. Like, it's a little bit, like you said, Craig, it's crazy. It's such a finite little thing. It's one chip that goes way too far, and then you have to two putt, and then it's, one that goes in the water, like with a bad break or a good break that the other way.
Yeah, and I guess the only thing that I sort of come back to is that I think now that he is back in form and he's sort of the darling again, I think Spieth, more so than a lot of the other top players, is going to get like he did his best out there with not having a good warm up. Okay, well, like, why didn't he have a good warm up? Why was his swing not in a good play? Like we're essentially we're skimming over that stuff, and I'm just kind of pointing at it a little bit.
So I'm reminded a little bit about, I have a good golfing buddy whose wife is not into golf at all, and he'll show her like an amazing shot, and she'll just be like, yeah, well, that's his job. So he should do that, and he's like, you don't understand like how hard this was. It's like, well, that's his job. Yeah, he's getting paid a lot of money to do that. So it's like a little bit of it. Yeah, of course you feel, I like Spieth. He was grinding all day, but at the end of the day, it's his job. He's
Did Kevin
nobody's shedding tears for him how hard he's trying, because he's Jordan Spieth and he had a tough range session.
Did Kevin just like quote unquote asking for a friend a story of him showing his wife his good golf shot?
I think that might have been how that went down.
Okay, guys, so we got other things. We still got our stock up, stock down. We got our bets to recap, all that stuff. For now, with the headlines, are we moving past Charles Schwab?
Yeah, but as a segue, just on the same note, so my wife loves to, because we talk about golf here, she loves to like read a headline and then come and like tell me what she read is like, I know what's going on. And she was talking about, so like, what's going on with Bryson and Brooks right now? Or like, it's so crazy what's going on with Bryson and Brooks right now. And so like, I'm like, oh, like it is, and I start like telling her the whole backstory and everything that goes into this, and she tells me afterwards when her sister's over, she's like, I come and do these things just to mess with him, and he like thinks I'm serious, him being me, and starts talking about it all excitedly, and she doesn't care at all. She just wants to kind of mess with me.
Isn't that didn't Phoebe read one of like the titles of Ross's like paleontology papers?
Yeah.
Or read his paper or something. Sorry, Friends reunion this week. It was good. Yeah. But okay. Other topics this week. I mean, from PGA Sunday through to Wednesday, the story was Bryson versus Brooks. I don't know if we need to give a quick recap. There's a video that was released, I want to say Monday, where Brooks was kind of doing an interview afterwards. Bryson comes by and his smile spikes afterwards, or during the interview. Brooks rolls his eyes, mumbles something about that guy, and then he's like, I just lost my train of thought. Let's start again. And this kind of erupted into this whole Brooks versus Bryson thing. So, I mean, that's a pretty poor recap I just did. I'm sure everyone who's listening saw it.
It was followed up with, a couple of tweets back and forth, and the drama got up there.
I heard two sort of potentially explanatory reasons that he had the reaction in the moment. One was that Brooks was asked by the Golf Channel interviewer, I forget his name, but he's the one who always does the interviews. He's pretty good. But he was asked about putting, and someone had said early on that Bryson said something about just getting it started on the right line. And then the other one I had heard was it was just the clatter of Bryson's metal spikes on the concrete. But yeah, for whatever reason, Brooks decided to go with the biggest,
very exaggerated
4-year-old eye roll.
Yeah. And then,
so what do you guys think? What do you guys think of it all?
Okay, so this might not be a popular opinion, but as is happening, I thought it was kind of humorous, but then every other tweet that came out or Instagram story or post from them, the more I just this, I'm not buying this. I just don't think there's this $40 million pip money we got hanging around. These guys are just trading these shots and it's getting everyone worked up into a fury. But I'm just not buying it. It doesn't seem legit. It doesn't seem real. It just, I don't know. I lost interest very quickly.
You think it's all trumped up, eh?
Yeah.
See, I disagree. I think there's genuine dislike and I think there's genuine friction. But I think both of them are. I think it is being magnified, not because they're so aggravated, but because they enjoy the back and forth and everything.
And the attention that it comes with?
The attention. I like, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of either one of them. Like, I respect the hell out of both of their golf games. But neither are guys like, neither are Rory McIlroy's in my heart. And so I kind of watch it with a detached amusement. But I do agree that, like, if you actually have beef, then there's better ways than, like, underhanded comments on Twitter replying to the. But it's an entertainment business.
What do you think, Kev? Like,
honestly, I think that it's hilarious. I think they have legit beef. I disagree with you. I do think it's probably been played into a little bit, but I think the beef is real. I think they genuinely don't really like each other. And I think it's hilarious. Like, I think it's good for golf. I think golf needs to lean into these kind of things. Not pair them at the U.S. Open, like everybody's calling for it. But why not? You got 2 of the past 3 champions. Like, put them in the same group and see what happens. I guarantee you more people are going to watch if that is the case.
100%. Yeah, I completely agree. Golf needs to move past the country club, retired old white man, image.
and we're all buddies. Everyone's everyone's a great guy. Like, no, let these guys have, like, interpersonal conflicts and, like, don't shy away from it. Like, lean into it.
Yeah, I was just to say, so, like, say if you think about the target market for the PGA, as you've either got your new golf fans that they're trying to attract that are maybe younger and enjoy this type of thing more, and, like, the person who doesn't know what Twitter is and they love hearing Nance and Faldo wax poetically for most of the broadcast about things unrelated to the tournament. So say you have those two. I think that if the argument that the reason you're not going to pair them is to appease the latter, then I don't agree with that, because so if golf is this gentlemanly sport where this is not how you're supposed to comport yourself, then, like, okay, well, then put these 2 people out there and make, they should be able to still carry themselves and compete like professionals. And if golf is not that gentlemanly sport, then why are you resisting this? Essentially is what I come back to. I think either way it makes sense to put them together and lean into it.
Like, yeah, so I feel like I'm just gonna ramble here about why I feel like it's just kind of getting, like, fuel on this, like, kind of non-existent kind of fire that it is. But, like, I just want this, like a MJ Last Dance type conflict where it's like handle lap practice and, like, it's just like this conflict, or like Dallas Cowboys, or like a Reed versus Rory, like something on the course. It's just like a Twitter, like, back and forth. Plus, here's the other thing. We know for a fact that, like, they don't always use their Twitter handles themselves. So they have social media people that tweet for them. So they have to go through them and have things kind of approved. But
what, just because Bryson posted how much the win meant to him when Sam Burns won? And then that post was quickly deleted and then put onto Sam Burns' account.
Exactly. And, like, over social media, pair him at the US Open. Why not? Like, do that. See what happens. If there's, like, some good eyes rolling there, great. Or if there's, I don't know, some disrespect on the golf course, even better. Like, I want that to be a real thing. This just kind of feels like, I don't know, they're trying to hype up some kind of fight that isn't there, or they're trying to get these pay-per-view dollars with this fake hype.
It's funny.
I agree. So what I come back to is, I'm just not the type to be super entertained by this. Like, I would be entertained watching them play together. The back and forth on Twitter, I just don't really care about. Like, I know that it creates buzz, and there's some people who get super into it, and that's totally fine. It's just like, I'm just not super interested in it. If you have people with genuine friction and they have to play a 5-hour round of professional golf together, that intrigues me, and I would be interested in that. But, like, I'm not going to go dissect their post histories on Twitter to figure out if this is a manufactured or real post that this person.
Oh, of course not. Yeah, I mean, anybody who's looking that deep into it needs to find something else to do with their time. But
have you seen Twitter?
Well, yeah, I not as much as you guys, I don't think, but the real life conflict of two guys that consider themselves alphas, playing side by side at a major, hitting it by each other. How do they react to that? I think that would be must-watch TV, honestly.
They probably will put them together and be like, oh, everyone wants this, and then they're not even going to be a feature group. It's just going to happen in obscurity. Yeah. That would be the most golf thing to do.
I like how you say these two guys that consider themselves alphas, because they do, and the whole universe does. But that started with some guy's shoes being too loud and the other one rolling his eyes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Neither of those are super alpha behavior.
No. Okay.
Alpha was Phil doing his calf stretches right next to him. His calf flexes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm 50, boys. I can still outdrive you. Still longest drive.
Or Alpha is Tiger Woods, who only keeps the trophies from his majors. He doesn't even know what happens to the other ones.
So where are the other ones? I don't know. These are the ones I got. U.S. Open implications, Ryder Cup implications. So
that potentially is the most interesting to me. And I mean, obviously, I think any Stricker or any future captain is going to shy away from making this relevant, because if they're genuine discord in the team is not a good thing, so they'll figure out a way to work together and have minimal contact. But it definitely takes away from the chummy atmosphere of the Ryder Cup team, I think.
Yeah, I think that the American teams have been criticized in the past for not being all that chummy in the first place as compared to the Euro team, so I don't think this is going to help that impression some people have.
No, I don't think it is. The other thing that kind of was released. Sorry, go ahead, Craig.
No, I was just going to say, because on that note, someone asked me in our Discord channel today, I think you guys are both on the same page as me, but is asking me, as a Canadian, do I typically cheer for the Euros or the Americans? And I was like, well, I don't know as a Canadian, but just me personally, I'm basically always riding pretty hard for the Euros. And I think, well, first off, where are you guys? I think I know that you guys are similar, but I'm not sure.
Kevin?
I flip-flop, to be honest. I'm definitely, it depends on the team. It depends on the players. When Tiger was doing his thing, I was pretty all in on Tiger, so I was cheering for him to have success there. I like a lot of the American players, but I don't, there's other ones I don't care for as much, and I like a lot of the European players, so it can be a match-to-match thing. I mostly just want it to be a good event and exciting,
and close.
And I find myself towards the end of it, I'm cheering for one or the other. It sort of is dependent on the team and the year.
I think that's fair. And yeah, especially wanting to be close down the stretch. I did a DNA kit a while back. I'm not going to name them, no freebies. But it turns out it came out myself, but I think I can lump you guys in with generally the same genetics background. About 80% Scottish, 20% Norwegian. There's some pretty good Norwegian golfer that I'd be cheering for.
Chris Ventura.
Yeah. So yeah, I cheer for the Euros. I mean, that's kind of, I feel like going back in our ancestry, that's where we're from a little bit. I have more ties there than I feel like the US.
Well, and I guess, a lot of people outside the US may not really understand this, but, I love a lot of American athletes. But basically when the Olympics is on, usually I'll cheer against the American because... And it's not that that individual athlete is someone I dislike or anything. It's more just that it's like cheering for the Lakers back when they had Kobe and Shaq, or cheering for the Yankees when it's just
the
Patriots
thing.
Yeah, they're just or the Patriots. Yeah, exactly. So it's just sort of how the US is going to have so many gold, so many medals at the end of the Olympics that this other guy from Slovakia. This might be the only one, I don't know what small country, but this might be the only gold they have at this Olympics. So I always find that you end up cheering kind of against. If you're not American, you kind of typically are sort of cheering against Team USA because of how good they typically are.
So now we got the guy with his Tom Brady jersey hanging beside his Kobe jersey, just throwing his phone across the room, cursing at
F this
Greg.
podcast.
With his Jeter Yankees jersey.
But yeah, I mean, a Cool Runnings example, if you're watching that movie, you're not cheering for the Swiss. You're cheering for the Jamaicans, the underdog story. Like,
it's like cheering for Mercedes in F1.
Yeah, that's right over my head, I'm sure.
Seven straight, or I think it's 7 now.
Okay, speaking of the Patriots, the match part 4 was announced this week as well. Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady versus Bryson, DeChambeau, and Aaron Rodgers. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably tune in or
if we get it. I think last year was
read
TNT,
about it afterwards.
Yeah.
I honestly, personally, I am not super. I just find these. I would much rather they do it with like 4 golfers and have them in like a staged match play event. Like I would find that much more compelling. I know it does introduce a little bit of the everyman when you have. And obviously it just attracts a big audience when you have Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. But I would love it if they started to do, just whether it's pay-per-view or specials of match plays, whether individual, like the first Phil and Tiger one, or some sort of team play. Throw a bunch of pros together doing a straight up scramble and see how low they can go, or
like do like a PGA, Korn Ferry, LPGA, like create your own team like you have to for Zurich, and do some kind of scramble or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's early. Like when golf exploded in popularity back in the 1800s, it was matches like that. Like it was not the tournament. It was exhibition matches. And even in like the early 1900s, like Walter Hagen and Ben Hogan, Ben Hogan, Augusta National. Bobby Jones. He ended up playing in some of these exhibition matches and taking some serious cash, but that sort of gets away from the amateurism profile that he had. But that has always been a big part of golf, and it's only been really in modern golf that we've gotten away from it, and I think that can be super exciting. So
yeah.
This will be a good spectacle, but I would like to see some actual golfers out there.
With how popular golf is booming, like it is definitely booming as an entertainment product. I think people are talking about that enough that we might see that in the next couple of years, which is really cool.
So you're saying you want all the biggest names together playing for like big stakes.
Sounds like the Super Golf League.
Where did I say that? I just said.
Well, that's what Craig's saying about the exhibitions.
No, I don't mean like in a series. Like it could just be, we have a Rory and JT versus Bryson and Brooke. Okay, maybe that one won't happen, but like that type of thing where it's just like it's a single one-off thing and they collect a huge pay-per-view or purse or whatever. But I think people would watch that, and I think it can be done without compromising the actual normal schedule if these guys do this once or twice a year type thing.
Mm-hmm.
A couple things about the match. The first one, Tiger vs. Phil, was 2018. I don't think there was a bet on this, but if you could bet both guys would win majors afterwards, I think it'd be pretty good stakes, and they both did, which is incredible.
That's
to think
crazy.
About. And another kind of cool one, I think this one, the match part 4, is being played in Big Sky, Montana. So just kind of a stone's throw from me, just south of me. But I was trying to do some research on the course, and it looks pretty cool. In Big Sky, Montana for this one. I do like that they go to these different courses, that we don't see.
Is that's the name of the course? Or that's
it's a place. I think it's also
because it's the name of a golf course in British Columbia in Canada. So that's the only reason I was thrown off. I was like, oh, maybe I'll go check it out.
It's also a descriptor.
Oh, it's a big sky. I think Montana is big sky country. I think that's like their motto or something about it. But anyways, it's not super important.
Well, now you threw me, and now my Google search is coming up empty. So
you get into your 3 stars. I'll Google it.
Okay, 3 stars for this week. Oh, thanks, Craig, for the segue for passing it over. 3 stars for this week. 3rd star, Jordan Spieth, looking like a 1st star the whole time, but he ends up 3rd star. I don't know, like we said at the beginning of the podcast, or at least my take was, at the end of the day, looking back on the tournament, it'll be a good 2nd. He has 5 top 10s now in his last 6 tournaments. Wow. 5 top 10s, 6 tournaments.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
2nd star, Alex Jaka. Guys, this guy's he's a regular on the 3 stars. His second time he makes this list in, a couple months, because he just goes out and he wins another Champions Tour major event. Incredible. So, we talked about him winning that first one as like an alternate or a Monday qualifier. I think was a pretty cool story. So he's playing the Kitchenaid Senior PGA Championship, won this week by 4 strokes. That's 2 major wins in only 2 starts. He's now chasing the Slam, the senior major Slam for the year. And he only has 5 starts total on the Champions Tour. It's incredible. Like, who comes onto a tour and just like dominates 2 majors right away? It's incredible. No matter what tour in any part of the world at any age, it's incredible.
I was gonna say, who did 1 was Tiger Woods, and then he was pretty good in a few other ones. But no, yeah.
There's more Tiger love coming from you tonight than usual. I'm actually quite impressed.
Moving on. 1st star, Jason Kokrak. We kind of alluded to it, but starts, the professional starts or PGA starts. I think PGA starts. Let's go PGA starts. PGA starts before his first win, 232. PGA starts before his second win, 17. The floodgates are open now. He's a winner. He's just gonna keep on winning. He did what he needed to do in that final group in Jordan Spieth's home against Jordan Spieth. Handled it well. Got his second win. Great finish. Great tournament.
I don't actually know if it was in his home. I think it was at the course. One of the things though that we didn't really get into, I don't know if this course actually was all that well suited to Kokrak. So like it does make it, potentially even that much more impressive. I think of it as more as a guy who will do really well on a place that the driver can, and he was number 1 in strokes gained off the tee, but it's not a course that I think of as you're really looking for the advantage off the tee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Craig, did you find anything about Big Sky?
Yes. So it is in Big Sky, Montana. The course is called Moonlight Basin.
The reserve at Moonlight Basin, is that right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Jack design?
I don't know. But the tagline is "Big Time in Big Sky."
Sounds good. Sounds like big times are to be had down there. Yeah. Okay, guys, moving on. DFS picks recap for the week. This is our pick sheet that's sent out on Twitter every Wednesday. Craig had Jordan Spieth.
I know, T2 long shot there.
Big long shot. Kevin and I went with Morikawa, T14. Sleeper, Craig, again. You had a good picks this week, I guess, Craig.
Yeah, I did.
You had Taylor Gooch, T14. Kevin went with Harry Higgs, miscut. I went with Hoagie, miscut. Fades. Craig went with Daniel Berger, T20. Kevin went with Justin Rose, T20. I went with JT, T40. I feel like that's a pretty good fade. He almost missed another cut. Definitely looked dicey there on Friday for him to make the weekend. Top Canadian, we all went with Corey Connors and Adam Hadwin.
Yeah, very nice week out of Adam Hadwin.
Yeah.
Craig, I think you talked about him in our Wednesday show a little bit about DFS play. His approach game had turned around a little bit. So Adam Hadwin, I think, finished with a T8 this week. So
yeah,
best result in a while, I believe. So maybe our top Canadian starts becoming interesting again. It's not just the Corey Connors.
It's been the Corey Connors show for a little while.
Okay, one and done. This is where it gets
now the main event.
The main event. So it
I
was
think we can just breeze past this week.
Hoffman, Harman, and Garcia. And we were talking on our Saturday night show that it looks like it could fall a bunch of different ways. I think Hoffman was furthest behind. Sergio Garcia was in the second to last group. I want to say he was solo third.
He was two clear in
fourth?
third, I think.
Yeah.
So Kevin went with Sergio Garcia, which I want to figure out that pick here in a second, but finished T20 for 68 grand. That's got a sting. Craig went with Brian Harman with a T8, just under 200 grand. And I went with Charlie Hoffman, T3 with 366. But man, everyone that kept tying him after because he got in early, Ian Poulter sank a long putt. And I'm like, oh, they're just cutting this jack up a little bit more and more.
Well, Kizzire missed a couple putts to take it one lower. So Hoffman actually could have ended up in fourth there. So,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
or he could have shot 6 over today.
Okay, quick recap. Craig at 5.7, I'm at 5.25, and Kevin's at 4.5 million. But Kevin, where did you come up with this Sergio Garcia pick? I'm interested.
It's a surprising one.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I was thinking he's played decent here.
Mm-hmm.
He's a ball striker. It's kind of an approach course. I don't know. I mean,
essentially what you saw through the first 3 days is what you were hoping.
Yeah,
so Saturday night you're going to bed just like suckers. I'm catching up.
Listen, I wasn't because I'm not a huge Sergio guy, and
evident
I kind of felt like
on your hat right now.
it would almost wouldn't be like fair if I made up some ground with Sergio. So I wasn't thinking that this was outside the realm of possibilities.
I feel like you would have been okay with it if you had made up some ground with Sergio. You probably would have been able to get.
I would have been fine with it, but it was almost like the golf universe couldn't really let that happen.
Yeah.
It burns though, big time, because he went from first to I think T2 to third to 20. I was like, okay, at least I was watching it today and he's kind of slipping like T5. I'm like, okay, well, at least he'll still get something out of this, even if I end up behind Hoffman. Harmon's 2 over, like no worries there. Just keeps plummeting down that leaderboard.
I was gonna say I wasn't watching because I think he got cut from coverage pretty early in the day.
Well, yeah, he did.
You were watching the leaderboard.
I was watching the leaderboard.
If you saw Poulter, sometimes you could see Sergio in the background.
Yeah. I'd watch where his ball was marked and be like, it's probably another par putt from 8 feet there.
This could go either way here. This could go either way.
So that one, it stung because I thought this week I was actually going to make up a little bit of ground, but.
What's funny is I think collectively from the PGA Championship, our picks made about $50,000. This week at the Charles Schwab, we picked up like 600,000 between our 3 picks. So I don't know if there's anything to that or what, but there you go.
There you go.
Okay, guys, good bets, bad bets, red bets, green bets. Anybody have any good stories from their bets this week or DFS play?
Nope, I did not have anything to report.
I mean, so I had one lineup. I mean, if Spieth would have won it, it would have had. So there's a bunch of ifs here. It was a very good lineup. Denny McCarthy killed it. But going into Sunday, I think I had all 5 of my guys were in the top. 5 of 6 that made the cut were in the top 15. So it was one of those heartbreaking 5 of 6s. So Denny McCarthy is on my list of people I'm upset with right now. And then other than that, the only one that stood out to me, Matt Jones missing the cut, was that one stung. It caused I didn't put as many lineups in, but it caused 5 lineups in, and 2 of my 5 lineups had went from 6 of 6s to 5 of 6s because of Matt Jones.
It was a hard DFS.
It was a break-even week though for me. So
what would we say? 20% of lineups had 6 of 6 through. So if you didn't, you're pretty much toast. On our pick show, on my picks, I think we're all top 20. The sleepers, I was 0 for 3, so that's never going to help. And it sung a bunch of lineups. Hoagie and Michael Thompson were my 2 6Ks, and they both missed the cut. So it wasn't good. I did throw in a multi-tour parlay though. I threw in a multi-tour parlay. You guys know I like to do this sometimes. I went with Matthias Schwab over in the European Tour. I went with Colin Morikawa over here, and Patrick Flavin I don't even know if I'm saying that
So
right.
it sounds like it didn't hit on any of the.
But get this. So, I mean, Morikawa was 14-1, Schwab was 25-1, and I got him with each ways. So
Okay.
that's a big thing. It was $2 to win 200,000, as one does. But this Flavin one was from Skyhook DFS on Twitter. One a really good kind of DFS kind of betting follow on Twitter, and he said something about the Illinois course where they played before. He playing well, and he finished second here before. He's 500-1. I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I'll throw a 500-1 on this. And then I got the each way, and anyways, his 500-1, he finished fifth, and he got returned 66-1 with an each way. I mean,
Nice.
when you have 500-1, and each way still is pretty good. So that feels like the first positive bet in a long time, and yeah.
66-1. I'll take it. I believe that's what Sergio was going into this week.
So sorry, but you still, what didn't you say it was a parlay?
So I had those three, and then bet them individually.
Oh, okay.
as
I was
well.
gonna say.
So
wouldn't you still have lost with Morikawa and Schwab?
But going in, Schwab was, I think, like T5 going into Sunday.
Yeah, he had a
so I
disappointing
woke up, he
Sunday,
fell to T10. I'm like, probably the parlay is going to miss. And then Morikawa started eagle birdie, I think.
And sorry, did you need to get 8 or is it 4 for the
No, the
the
placing
each
was only 5.
5? So but Morikawa still could have gotten there. So
Yeah.
it was live.
It was live. It was a long shot. Data Golf had him as a top 5 at like 2% to start the day. But then he eagles. I'm like, oh man, like what's going on? Is it really gonna be Schwab that missed by 1 stroke, not getting into top 5? Luckily I didn't really have to sweat that. So all right. Stock up, stock down, guys. Who wants to kick it off, Craig?
Yeah, sure. So I am going. So I took an angle this week. Essentially, I am looking at a couple of Euro Ryder Cup guys, and it's more of a long term. I'm looking at this week, what happened this week, but I'm looking at in the microcosm of the momentum that they seem to be having in terms of their potential place on the Ryder Cup team. So the stock up is Ian Poulter. He moves from 23rd, so he was tied for third with a -2 on the day. I mean, like Adam said, he was making a few big putts and big shots down the stretch to get to that point. But I've only seen projected from Nosferatu on Twitter, who
Right.
it usually seems pretty bang on with his projected ones. But essentially, Poulter moves up to 17th from 23rd on the world points list. So there's the 2 points list for the European team. Anyways, regardless, he is moving his way consistently, it seems, towards Ryder Cup consideration. Well, first off, just straight up qualifying, but he's going to be moving himself further and further into consideration as a captain's pick, because you've got the Ryder Cup history, you've got the strength in match play. There's a lot of good things that he has been showing in the last little bit. After I had kind of written him off maybe a few months ago as kind of there's this old guard of Europeans, and not all of them are going to make it. And I was kind of thinking that he was one of these ones that it didn't look like was going to make it. And then, around the match play, around that time, he really has started to turn it on since. And so then conversely, moving down, I have Lee Westwood. So Lee Westwood, he was all over the headlines, all over the leaderboard earlier in the year. He had back-to-back second place finishes.
Right.
Missed the cut. He was +4. Wasn't even really close to making the cut this week. He now has, he has back-to-back seconds at the Arnold Palmer and at the Players. He's missed 2 cuts since then. 63rd, 71st. So he missed another cut now, so he's missed 3 cuts. It hasn't been great. He does have a 21st at the Byron Nelson in that time, but he seems to be falling down the board. So maybe this is kind of the one where we see the inflection point of maybe Westwood. So he's the third last one to automatically qualify now. So after him, you've got Matt Fitzpatrick, who I do expect to kind of move up as well.
Right.
And then Perez, who, he's going to be borderline. But if Westwood doesn't continue to do things, I don't think he has done enough at this point to make, to guarantee that he's going to be there.
Yeah, he's an interesting one for sure. I mean, I think when that was kind of going on in Florida with this amazing play, we were all kind of like, yeah, he's a great player, but how sustainable is this? And well, turns out not that sustainable. But it is fun when he is playing that well. So hopefully he rebounds here.
So and just for the sake of, we did go through the U.S. who's just outside. So this is outside. So we've got Lowry, Bernd Wiesberger, who just won, Justin Rose, Robbie McIntyre. So all of these people are going to be looking to knock Westwood off of that spot. Sergio, Ian Poulter, Matt Wallace. So there's some good names that I think are going to be playing some good golf over this summer.
Yeah, a lot of movement still could happen.
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin, moving up, moving down. Who you got?
Well, interestingly enough, I was looking at Westwood there for a while until I saw that in the show notes here that Craig had him. But he really hasn't done anything since those 2 second places, and his game doesn't seem to have a lot of life right now. But I went with moving up. I have Patton Kizzire. Now, Cazire now has 3 top 10s in his last 6 starts. He's up to, I don't know the new official world golf rankings, but before his finish today, he's up to 148th in the world. He was at 389th in 2020. So, he's really playing some solid golf. He's only missed 3 cuts out of his last 20 starts. So this is a guy that, if you're looking for somebody to put on your rosters as a, to get you a 6 of 6, like he's been playing very solid lately. This is second straight top 3. He's somebody who is totally under my radar, but I've noticed him popping enough lately that I dug a little deeper, and he's just playing very solid, consistent golf, climbing up the world golf rankings, putting together solid finishes. Keep your eye on him. He's trending in the right direction.
So I've got a projected update, 105th in the world.
105.
Yeah, up from 150 going into the week. So big jump.
Yeah. So somebody who's right around there, going the other way, in my opinion. My stock down is Cameron Champ. Cameron Champ at the end of, after the PGA Championship last year at Harding Park, where he was kind of right around the end. I don't know if he was in the final group or maybe the penultimate group. Yeah.
Good word. That's why I say second last like a chump.
Yeah.
He was inside the top 70 in the world at that point. He had 3 wins to his name. He seemed to be like somebody that was on an upward trajectory that I think everybody was kind of expecting. A guy whose name you knew because his incredible swing speed and like how far he hit the ball, but it seemed to kind of be coming together a little bit. Mm-hmm. Well, since then, like he's done nothing. He's now outside the top 100. He was 103 going into this week. He missed the cut this week. He has 0 top 10s since the Zozo last year. Mm-hmm. So he's not really doing anything. And I don't know, you kind of hoped he can turn it around and find something, but at this point he's looking like a guy who's just sort of in free fall. Missing I think about half of his cut, or missing cutting about half of his tournaments, more than that right now.
This will now be 7 of 12 in 2021 missed cuts, which is alarming.
It is. And for somebody you think has a lot of weapons, he's not really putting it together, so he's my stock down this week.
Well, he's for sure got that one weapon, and it can definitely help him on certain events. I'm not exactly sure his status, but dropping out of the World 100 after top 10ing at a major, you're losing invite status to some places if you don't already have it. So
yeah,
that's you kind of lose. It's amazing how quickly you can kind of lose those invites if you don't.
Yeah, playing opportunities.
Well, and even the card comes into play. He's 134th in FedEx Cup at this point in the season. I don't know his win.
I think his last win was 2018.
I don't quite know. I'd have to look at how they're treating it with this extended season and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was.
He did have one in 2019.
2019, but yeah. So that Yeah, I don't quite know for sure. That was late 2019, so that would have been the 2019-2020 season. So that might keep him into next year. I'm not sure though. Not sure.
Yeah.
TBD.
TBD.
Okay, guys, moving up. My stock up, my stock down. I got Emiliano Grillo moving up. He was T8 this week at the Charles Schwab, which I guess, like Cazire, 3 top 10s in his last 6 starts. Is that what Cazire was?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to just say, like Cazire, my Sunday showdown picks.
Wow. Yeah, I guess so. I played Grillo. Yeah, that was a good one. He had quite a bit of points. Cazire got that birdie streak. It was good too, I guess.
And then Cazire missed a few putts down the stretch that would have, I wanted those ones to go.
Yeah. But Grillo, Craig kind of tipped me off to this. Elite ball striker. We listed him as one of the top 5 trending players going into the Memorial Tournament next week. But he has now gained strokes putting in 4 of his last 5 events.
Ooh.
So Grillo, kind of like Connors a few months ago, elite ball striker, finding something with his putter, starts to become super, super dangerous if he can roll in some putts here. If you're not sweating over 8-footers like Kevin did with Sergio today.
Yeah, and he's actually positive on this season too, which is the part that blows me away just as much as kind of a streak of tournaments. He was minus 0.9 last, like almost a full stroke. He was losing every round with his putter. And so to be anywhere in the green is a good thing.
Yeah. Okay, stock down. Sorry, guys. You might want to plug your ears for this one. I'm sorry to say it, but someone's got to. It's Mackenzie Hughes is my stock down. He did miss the cut again. That makes 4 missed cuts in a row. 4 missed cuts in a row. He's played in 13 stroke play events in 2021. His best finish was T19 back at the Sony Open. He doesn't have another top 30. Everything else, all other 12 tournaments are outside the top 30. He's lost strokes gain approach in 6 straight starts. That's not his strength by any means. His strength is putter and short game, but losing strokes gain approaches in 6 straight starts it's hard to come back from and to make cuts and be competitive. So Mackenzie Hughes, big story, especially for us Canadians last year with his finish to his season. Getting a little bit cold right now.
Yeah. No, just he did make it out of the first round at the match play. So it is on there as a tied for 9th, but essentially
I said stroke play.
Yeah. So just if people are like, oh, I thought he had a top 10 there. No, it's a tied for 9th, yes, but it's just he made it out of his group and then got knocked out in the next round. So that was a good result for him, I would say. To make it out of your group at the match play is good. But yes, still I agree that form is concerning for Mackenzie Hughes.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Anything else? Memorial Tournament next week.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I'm excited
for it.
Yeah.
We had 2 weeks last week: Workday Charity and the Memorial at Muirfield Village. Ripped it up. Completely new golf course.
We actually have an awesome little stretch of golf here now because we've got the Memorial Tournament with the new, revamped Muirfield Village, and then we've got Congaree. We've got they're calling it the Palmetto Championship at Congaree, which is replacing the Canadian Open. But it's a very interesting golf course that I don't know if we'll get to see this again anytime soon. So that's our lead up into the U.S. Open essentially. So it's going to be a good little stretch of golf here. 3
awesome weeks, I think. 3 really good weeks. I don't know what the field is going to look like in 2 weeks, but yeah, it's always fun when you get a new course.
Yeah.
A new look.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Please rate and review the podcast. Does mean a lot. Does really help us out. Subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. Hit that thumbs up. Follow us on Twitter at Grandstand Golf. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you again next week.
Just pop that thumb, guys.
Just like Phil, right, guys? Just like Phil.
Take care. See you guys.
Take care.